What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Acklon here, and of course, welcome back to each and every one of you to Mythic Banter. It is episode, I think, 17, and I am, as always, joined by the wonderful Rurikon. Rurikon, how you doing, sir?
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah, well, you know, I thought I'd start. I thought I'd start with a nice little compliment right at the start of the shit show that is gonna be this episode.
I thought you were like, I'm gonna start you off easy, and then I'm gonna stab you in the back. I'm gonna stick you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we do have. Oh wow! If there were such a thing as a shit pie, you know, like a nicely baked pie just filled with shit, that would be this episode.
No,
that would be this episode.
Oh my God!
It is.
Oh, Naomi needs to censor that. I mean, look, you need to understand. Some people are like, they listen to podcasts when they're having their breakfast or when they're eating their meal. And you're sitting over here talking about dung pies, bro. It's like, no.
This was a steaming one. Like, this is a steaming one, though. Like, holy shit.
Now I'm thinking about those pork buns, like that they're... Except instead of pork. God, Echelon, I hate you.
I can tell you guys, this one's rough, right? So coming up in the show, we will be talking about Asmongold Drama, Destiny Drama, Dragon Age Drama, more Dragon Age Drama, Unknown 9 Awakening Drama, Bandai Namco Drama, Star Citizen Drama, Space Marine 2, good news.
Hey!
BS Boss says some dramatic things, and then if there is time, life is strange weirdness.
Dude. It's like, I just want you guys to understand something, right? I put up in you usually share the topics that we bring to the show, and for today's show, I go up to Acklon and I say, hey, listen, I've got good news about Veilguard. And I literally post like 2 good things about Veilguard. And Acklon goes, oh, don't you worry, I got you, bro. I have like all of these 20 horrible, miserable things. And I was like, damn, Acklon, thanks, bro.
I mean, it's what I do, right?
I got like 2 good things about this game, and you're just like, just wait until you see what I got cooked up.
I mean, Rurikon really thought that this was going to be a very positive episode with a bit of shit sprinkled in between. I was like, bro, I got you, fam. But
oh my God, it's like I'm just trying to, like, I want to be more positive, man. Did you see the post that Force made this week? Force is like, man, I remember back in 2010 when everybody was like, we'd just be posting Let's Plays and having a good time. Like, look at the industry now. It's just like crapshoot after crapshoot every single day.
True, right? It is true. The industry has changed. And the problem that you have with the industry and how it's changed is that both sides of the industry is blaming the other side for the state of the industry. So the gamers, or at least the gamers, capital G, as people like to put it, the gamers are blaming the game companies and their lackeys for just trying to shoehorn politics into everything, into every single bit of the gaming industry. But then the lackeys and the useful idiots on the other side are blaming the gamers for not just shutting the fuck up and accepting the fact that all games are now political, even though 5 minutes ago that wasn't the case. And we see this, right?
It's
constantly.
like, look, we've had politics in gaming. But don't get me wrong, we've had politics in gaming. This is one of those things.
I want to phrase it differently. We've always had games with politics. That has always existed. Games have always had politics.
Exactly.
But for a long time, it was always the politics of the universe. It was very rarely that you would get, you know, like actual real world. In fact, most gaming companies would sometimes even actively shy away from discussing real world stuff because they don't want to bring that bullshit on themselves, right?
So here's where I'm at with this stuff. Okay, when it comes to the whole politics in video games, My biggest thing is not about whether or not you put politics in video games, whether or not you put modern day issues in video games. It's about whether or not it feels like you are lecturing gamers.
Yeah, but that's the point, right?
I feel like that's the biggest. I feel like that's the biggest thing. That's the point, but you very rarely see it posed like that. People are just like, "Don't put politics in my video games," which can be misconstrued 1,000 different ways. It's more so, could you not lecture me? Like, I'm not a bad person. I work my 9 to 5. I want to come home and I want to kill some creatures in my video game.
Holy shit!
Can I?
How do you do that?
No, it's not me. I'm trying to, represent.
You want to be one of the people.
Video game consumer.
You want to be down with the people.
What do you mean? What do you mean? I want to be one with. I am
up
one of the
here in his
people. What the hell
ivory
do you
tower, huge YouTuber fucking mansion, trying to be one of the people.
YouTuber mansion, yes, exactly. With all that filthy YouTuber money I make by not taking any sponsorships because I'm a smart businessman.
True.
Yes. No, but like the thing to me is like I was saying, I'm trying to represent the average gamer. Average gamer would be like your average person that they go work on their 9 to 5. They might be tired at the end of the day. Maybe they're actually happy at their job. There's a bunch of people I know are not. But let's say maybe they're actually even happy at their job. It's like, they're tired at the end of the day. They come home and they're like, man, I just want to boot up whatever happens to be my video game of choice. Like one of the games that is going to come up later today is Warhammer 40K. So let's just say, man, I just want to boot up my 40K, kill some Xenos, purge some heretics. Let's fucking go. And that's all they want. And they don't need a video game to lecture them on the morals of what is happening out in the world. And I feel like that is the situation that a majority of gamers are in. And whenever people come up with like the whole concept that I hear all the time, being thrown around all the time, sometimes even by content creators, most of the times by journalists, the whole, whenever people throw out the term gamers TM, like a derogatory thing, like separating themselves from the scum that they publish articles to, like, no, see, I'm not a gamer TM. I'm an illuminated person. I've ascended beyond the concept of gamer TM, like they're somehow different than anybody else. I hate that. It pisses me right off. I'm like, bro, no, you shut the fuck up. The whole concept. It's like we're all gamers, and it's like you can try to put yourself on this little ivory tower and be like, "This, oh no, gamers TM are evil and misogynism," and it's like, listen, the internet is going to show you exactly what you're looking for. That's what the internet is going to show you. A majority of my interactions with people online, the large majority, I would say like 90% plus of interactions that I have with people online are usually positive interactions. Now, if you choose to go down the rabbit holes where you will find the racists and the bigots and all that, you'll find them. They're there, just like you can find them anywhere else in any other community, whether that is community of people that watch movies, community of people that do arts and crafts, community of people that do literally anything. If you're looking hard enough, you're gonna find you're gonna find all the racists and bigots and
it helps when you change the definition.
I just think that
what those things mean also, right?
Yeah, but what I mean is it annoys me that people go out looking for something and then they find it and then they just grab like that small minority and they're like, aha, this is what gamers as a whole are. See, I found them. It's like they found one or two dudes that were nasty, and they're like, "This is what gamers are." And it's like, no, bro, no, you're wrong. You're wrong. It's ridiculous, and it pisses me off because it's a gross misrepresentation of what the gaming community is. Because by and large, a majority of the gaming community is extremely welcoming, extremely accepting, diverse, 100%, and it's like. But people,
except for French people,
focus on this.
We don't want French people in the gaming industry. Why are you?
I'm
just saying, bro. I'm just saying what everyone else is thinking.
Listen, see, you're doing the same thing. You're looking at Ubisoft and you're like, French people bad. Okay,
what have the French given us? Ubisoft and fucked up language. We don't need them.
No. I have family and friends, and listen, my French cousin will kick kick your ass. She's a black belt karate, black belt jujitsu. She knows like how to use Japanese weapons. She will fuck you up, bro. Dude. So do not mess with the French. She will disarm that gun in 3 different ways and then shove it straight up your rectum. Okay, slowly.
Kinky.
No. I like the French, okay? You leave the French alone. Like that's messed up. But yeah. Anyways, this is just a long-winded way of saying that, like, listen, if you see people grossly mischaracterizing gamers as gamers, TM, the big evil, misogynist, racists, ableists, all of these other things, is like, I don't agree with that, okay? Most of the interactions that I have with other gamers online, pretty cool interactions. Not that many big issues, but I know that there's bad apples out there. I know that that's the case. They're not a majority, not even by a long shot.
But I will say, just to put into perspective, because I know there's a lot of viewers that watch us, right? And you guys come from Rurikon's channel, you hear me speak, and more often than not, look, guys, I'm going to speak my mind, right? And if you feel offended by that, that really is your problem. I could not care less. But it's important that you understand one thing. I pride myself on being honest, right? And being fair. So, for example, I make a literal living on calling out the woke political bullshit in the gaming industry. That's what I do. It's what I bring to this podcast, right?
Oh, God.
Rurikon every single week is like, oh man, here we go again. Akalon has a bunch of political. He tries his best. Again. Like, this guy is going to the dark web to find something positive about the gaming industry before I shoehorn the politics into it.
I don't have to. That's the thing. I don't have to. Like, I barely have time to play all the things that I want to play, which is why I find it so weird that sometimes people are like, oh man, everything is bad in the gaming industry now. I'm like, what do you mean? I literally don't have enough time to play all the things I want to play. And you're talking to me about how everything's so bad.
To put to you and to explain to you from an actual example how fair I am, World of Warcraft. A lot of people have thrown out the War Within is woke. It's just a bunch of women replacing the men. And they're not wrong. In the whole story of the War Within, it is male characters dying off or being replaced by female characters, or the male guy is bad and they kill him and then a female takes his place. However, I have pushed back every single time against people saying it's just woke garbage. Because unlike normal woke garbage, which I normally call out, in this instance, it's done well. The characters, the female characters are
your bias is showing.
They're well-rounded characters. They're likable characters. So while you're questing with them, they actually have personalities. The male characters get great send-offs. So it's not just unceremoniously getting rid of the male character in order to replace the male character with a girl boss. It's done well. Not a single time has there been a moment where, this swap takes place and you feel like, dude, that was just, what the hell just happened here? So I am more than happy to push back against the members of my community to go, woke game. And be like, yes, absolutely woke, but done correctly. I don't mind if you have this political mindset.
Last time I went into your stream, I saw you in this very woke-looking dungeon chock full of fairies, so I don't know how I feel.
I think that dungeon was from the previous expansion, Shadowlands or some shit.
No, it's the one before the previous expansion. Yeah, Shadowlands.
Yeah, Shadowland dungeon. Yeah,
there's been Dragonflight since then.
For me personally, I don't mind if you want to get your politics into the game. Sure, try it, but then do it well. Do it in such a way that I can actually still appreciate the story. Yes, your politics is going to make me want to barf, but I'm going to appreciate the story because it's a story told well. The reason we get angry as gamers about this nonsense...
You're still not convincing me. You're still not convincing me.
Well, that's fine, right? But the reason we as gamers get angry at this woke stuff that's happening is you do the bare fucking minimum you literally just tokenize characters. Like, oh, we need 5 female characters here. Let's just put 5 female characters here. And you're like, well, none of these characters make sense. They have the most bland and boring storylines. Their personalities are vastly unlikable. I'm looking at a game like Forspoken. So I tried to play Forspoken a few, I think like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I loaded in, and within the first hour, I'm genuinely looking at the protagonist of this game and thinking, I would like to slap the shit out of her. In real life, I would slap this person. They are obnoxious, hateful, uninteresting. Their only thing, Dustborn, the same thing.
I don't remember feeling that strongly about Forspoken.
I genuinely hated
I played a decent chunk of Forspoken.
I hated the main character.
You want to know what I hated about Forspoken? What I hated about Forspoken is that I couldn't play the game for more than 5 minutes without having like a bunch of people telling me how bad the game was, and I was like, what do you mean?
No,
it's not a terrible video game. It's not a great video game either.
This is this is another reason why this gets so frustrating for me. You get games like Forspoken where the gameplay is actually pretty decent. The graphics are actually pretty decent. The idea behind the story is actually pretty decent. And then they fuck it up with the absolute most unlikable girl boss in the history of the world. And you think to yourself, could you not just do Lara Croft from fucking Tomb Raider? Because that's an actual
You're exaggerating.
Not for me.
It's not. Listen, Forspoken. Let me make one thing perfectly clear: the story of Forspoken, the character of Forspoken, is not great. It's not a fantastic character. I would even go as far as to say she's not a particularly believable character. Like the way that the character is portrayed in the game is not particularly believable, but it's whatever. Mostly I care about gameplay, so I'm like, gameplay-wise, it was pretty fun. I was having fun with the game when I did play it. But having said that, I feel like a large portion of people over-exaggerated the issues of that.
I wouldn't say people exaggerated it.
That's how I feel about Forspoken. I think they did.
I think there might be a modicum of truth to it, but the thing is, we have entered an era now where there's an ultra sensitivity to DEI and woke political activism. There is an ultra sensitivity, and that's
this is why I always like to make it clear I judge every game after I play.
Yeah,
I play the game and then I judge. Okay, was this good?
There's a few games where I see the trailer and I go, yeah, I'm not fucking playing this. Like Dustborn, for example, I was like, yeah, of course. Never fucking mind, right? But you're right. I won't. Yeah. That's why I tried to play Forspoken, because I didn't like the game.
That's why I'm here to rein you back. Yeah, like rein you in.
I tried to play Forspoken. I genuinely didn't like the main character, and I don't understand, because we've been doing female lead characters for a long time. Tomb Raider is a great example of this. Fucking Lara Croft is an amazing character, right? So I don't understand how we went backwards, where you're making characters like the I can't even remember the fucking name of the character in Forspoken. But the fact is, gamers get frustrated because good games, or potentially good games, get destroyed because they are turned into political theater. And you'll see how this becomes a thing in Dragon Age Veilguard later on. The reason I don't mind that we're just starting the podcast with this conversation is I do think it leads into our first topic. And we have to talk about the Asmongold Drama.
Okay.
Right? All right.
Here we go.
So a few days ago, and I'm not going to, I don't think you mind if I don't go into the whole, everything that Asmongold said. Because that might actually affect our discoverability.
That would, yeah. That will demonetize us.
Well, we're not even monetized,
so but
YouTube would charge us money to run this fucking video.
I keep forgetting we're not even monetized.
Yeah, we make no money on this show. But so Asmongold said a few things. People then completely misquoted him, misinterpreted everything he said. Now, I'll give you guys the gist of what Asmongold said. Asmongold.
Before you even start, I just want to point one thing out that bothers me a little bit, which is, why the fuck do people care what Asmongold has to say about the Israel-Palestine conflict? That's question number one that I have for everybody. Because what I saw online is that there's a bunch of people out there that they just have a hate boner for Asmongold, and they've been just waiting. They're just like, they're sitting there every day tweeting about him, like, oh, the Roach King, oh, the Rat King, oh. It's like he says something that they don't like let's say he says, oh man, the sky is blue today, and people are like, yeah, but you seen his room? You seen his room? How dare he say the sky is blue? Right? He'll say something
like blue eyes. He must be a fucking. It's like, wow, all right.
Yeah, exactly. Like, right. There's a bunch of people that are just like sitting there literally seething, waiting to be mad at Asmongold. And it's like, look, more power to you. If that's what you want to do with your life, you go right ahead and you do it. Okay? You do what you want. But the thing to me is, you're not going to tell me that anybody realistically cares what Asmongold has to say on the Israel-Palestine conflict. Just like you shouldn't care what I have to say on the Israel-Palestine conflict, because I don't know a damn thing about it. It's that simple. Because nowadays, whenever something happens, everybody feels like they need to have a take. Oh, this thing happened? I need to see where I stand. Do I stand with Israel or do I stand with Palestine? And it's like, how am I going to make a stance on that when I don't know the entire history of the conflict? I don't know the culture of the people involved. I'm a guy that makes videos about video games. I'm completely uneducated on this. I'm not going to take a stance on this. Like, what the fuck? What do you mean? That's crazy talk. And everybody feels like, no, I gotta make my. It's like, why are you trying to look for, what is the correct opinion on a geopolitical conflict of this magnitude from a video game live streamer? What?
The thing is, I think most people should also, I think streamers should also learn that they don't have to have a fucking opinion on everything in the world, right? That's why whenever people ask me about the Israel-Palestine thing, I usually just go, I think both sides are evil as fuck. That's all I can tell you, because both sides
they're killing people left and right. What I want is for them to stop killing people. Both sides, stop killing people. Right? That's it.
I think...
You know how people said it's really not that hard to not be an asshole online. Yeah. People say that. Here's what I have to say. It's really not that hard to just not kill another fucking human being. I've managed to live 42 years and I've never killed anybody.
Killed anyone?
That's impressive, isn't it?
I killed a bunch of people. Wait, do we count games?
Yeah, I kill a bunch of people too in video games.
I thought if we're counting video games, because most people treat them as real life.
Yeah, but it's like, imagine somebody actually coming to Mythic Banter and expecting us to give them like a nuanced take on the Ukrainian-Russian conflict or the Israel-Palestine. It's like, no, you're not a reasonable individual if you're expecting to come here and be informed about a conflict in the Middle East. Okay,
there's
that's not
podcasts
happening.
that do that with people who are far better informed than I am.
There are.
You can go listen to them. But, okay, so I'm going to do the thing that I realize most of the time when people say he basically said, they continue to say whatever the fuck he did not say at all, right? But this time I'm going to say he basically said, and I'm going to tell you exactly what he said. Asmongold basically said that the way Hamas, so he was, this is where he said the most stupid shit ever. He was conflating Hamas with Palestinians, the ordinary civilian Palestinians. And he was saying, if your very constitution, which is wrong, but it's Sharia law, if your very Sharia law calls for genocide, then I don't care that you're being genocided. That was what he said, right?
And that's pretty fucked up because of several reasons. Like, for instance, not everybody in that culture is going to be a fan of Sharia law.
In fact,
probably, I would imagine.
Not.
I would imagine.
The overwhelming majority of Muslims do not want to live under Sharia law because Sharia law is fucked. But never mind. And I know this because
But-
I have actual Muslim friends who tell me they would hate to live in a Sharia law country because it is genuinely terrible. By the way, if you live in a Sharia law country and you are not, let's say, if you're having a bit of freaky time with your girlfriend, you can choose whether you want to die by stoning or crucifixion. It's a choice, and it's nice. You know, they at least give you the choice. Not always. Sometimes they make it for you. But that's the kind of shit, right? So he was conflating Hamas with Palestinians and the ordinary civilians. And he was saying, then they deserve to be genocided, right? Which is a stupid thing to say. But he did clarify that he should have clarified he is talking about Hamas, not about the Palestinian people. Now, this then became, it was drawn to such weird conclusions. And he was, and he said their culture is inferior. And people said, that's racism. How dare you say that? And to that, my response was, hold on. There are actual tribes in the world that still practice cannibalism. Are we going to sit here and pretend like their culture is on par with ours? Fuck no. We won't kill them for that, but we will say, maybe don't eat other people. You know, maybe as a start, let's not eat other people. So,
again, see, that's the thing, though. Why are we even talking about that?
The thing is, I have to give people the context of what he said. Because from there, people extrapolated because of his poor wording. But remember, if you're not a streamer, you will not understand this. When you're streaming, and Rurikon will know exactly what I'm talking about, your mind is going at 100 kilometers an hour. You're thinking about the thing you have to say.
Yes.
You're reading chat because you have to keep up with what chat is doing. Your mind is trying to process what chat is saying, incorporating that into what you're saying. So oftentimes during a live stream, it's the hardest fucking thing to form a full cohesive thought, which kind of means don't say shit like that.
You're going to say stupid shit. You're going to say stupid shit on stream.
Don't talk about very sensitive topics on stream because even the most milquetoast topics on stream can come out to sound super stupid because you said it on stream, right? And this is exactly what happened. So then Asmongold gets banned off of Twitch, and the whole world is celebrating his not banned, suspended. Yeah. The whole world celebrates his suspension. Do you have a thought up until now? Because I can continue with what happened.
Like I said, my thing is still the same. Like, if your whole existence, and I know that there's a lot of people online that their whole existence is hating on Asmongold because of the reach that he has, because he has a massive audience that watches him.
It started with WoW.
Because of that.
When he started to criticize WoW, the WoW Andy started to hate him. And it has now become like a massive crowd that hates him.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, to me, it's still like, listen, if your whole life existence is hating on Asmongold, good for you. Like, you do what you want to do. It's most of us still live in free countries, so you're free to just like define your existence by hating Asmongold. Me personally, I watch some of Asmongold content because I like to hear him talk about video games. We usually have aligning views when it comes to microtransactions, which, is one of the reasons why I'm like, hell yeah, speak truth to power when it comes to microtransactions, slam everybody down, let's fucking go. But obviously there's a lot of shit that I don't agree with Asmongold with. Hell, we do this podcast every week. There's a lot of shit I don't agree with you with. This is just the way that the things, like you agree with some things, you disagree with other things. And whenever it comes to political shit, I don't give a fuck what Asmongold has to say about politics. I don't care. Because, I don't think he's qualified to talk about politics. It's just that simple. It's okay. If he wants to do it, go ahead and do it. I don't care. It doesn't affect me in any way. And I don't understand why it affects people in so many ways. They're like, oh, this guy makes my life so much worse. Why? Because he exists? Switch the channel.
Yeah, it's literally that easy,
Imagine watching a show on TV that you fucking hate. and you keep watching that show and you're like, oh, I hate this show so much. You have no idea how much I hate this. Oh, it makes my life so much worse. And it's like, then don't fucking watch it.
You don't even have to
He's literally one guy talking on the internet.
But the funny thing is, you don't even have to switch the channel. You have to physically go to his stream in order to watch him say the stuff that you hate. It's like, why just not go to any other stream? There's millions of them, right?
I just go watch things that I like. It's that simple.
So personally, what happened then is he got banned or suspended on Twitch. Yeah. And then he came out with an apology video where he basically owned up. I think I should just say this is probably one of the best apology videos I've ever watched in my life. Because he did what you should do, which is owned his mistake, owned what he did, and then apologized.
You want to know the most surprising thing that he did in an apology video that you often don't see in apology videos? He said, I'm sorry. That's a revolutionary concept. Usually in apology videos, what you see is people like rationalizing why they did what they did and they never apologize. They're like, you see, guys, here's why I did what I did. And, it happened. It is what it is. And then video over and you're like, wait, where's the part where you say I'm sorry in this apology
or they'll do this,
video?
I'm sorry that I wasn't more clear about what I was doing. It's like, dude, that's not a fucking apology.
I'm sorry you felt that way. That's the best one. I'm sorry you feel this way.
I think.
No, but like at the end of the day, I will say, when I first saw the clip, I was like, this feels very out of character. Didn't you feel that way?
He was extra
like I see that clip and this feels very out of character for Asmongold to say something like this. This is very, very weird. And not only say it, but double down, triple down, quadruple down on it. Because I then went to watch the context and I was like, it doesn't get any better. It actually gets significantly worse when you watch the rest of the context. And I was like, this feels very out of character for Asmongold. It is very surprising and it is weird. And because naturally I've interacted with some of his posts in the past, I have like a bunch of people coming up on X and being like, oh, I can't wait to see how you defend this. And it's like, what the fuck? Why am I being judged for some dumb shit that Asmongold said? Like, excuse me? Like, what the I've never even defended him. I just think it's funny whenever somebody goes on a long tirade about how Asmongold is this terrible individual. And I just, sometimes I'll quote tweet somebody and go like, rent-free. Like, dude lives rent-free in your head. It's like, what the fuck? And people think that that's somehow a defense. Is like, no, I'm not defending him. I'm making fun of you. These are two very different things. But like, I thought it was very out of character for him to say that shit. And, that was it. I was like, this feels out of character. I don't know why the fuck he did that. That's some dumb shit to say. Regardless of that, I don't go to him to his political opinion. I don't give a fuck. So whatever. And then the whole situation came out where he did the apology video. And I was like, see, now this is pretty much what I would have expected. This is kind of like more what I would have expected. But it is what it is.
He did explain, right, that over the last 2 years he has gotten significantly angrier.
He's been getting more
and angrier,
and more toxic. Yeah, basically getting more and more toxic.
To the point where his own dad told him, "Bro, you need to calm the fuck down. Like you're getting." And I hate to do this because technically it's not good to try and psychoanalyze people. But if I were to take a guess, I think that there's a lot of things that happened to Asmongold in the last few years, particularly his mother passing, that he's not processed. Because if you think about it, his mother passed and he was almost live a week later again,
but like,
just as if nothing happened.
His mother passed and he lost one of his best friends because turns out he was some kind of a sexual deviant.
Yeah, with rich and stuff.
Because I believe there's some legal case or whatever going on where Rich is trying to say that that's actually not what happened. But I don't know. I don't know anything about that one either. But regardless of that, it's like you go through your mother's death, and then you lose what was potentially one of your best friends, which I believe
Yeah.
Rich was one of his best friends. And yeah, it fucking takes a toll, because you could imagine that he was probably having conversations with Rich about his mother. Because like whenever I have very close friends that whenever something traumatic happens in my life, I'll go like, hey man, I need to talk. I need to fucking vent something. And that is very important. Like I think that a lot of times people underestimate the importance of just speaking with somebody else, and they're going through some traumatic shit and they don't talk to anybody, and that just like festers and rots in your brain. So yeah.
So I think a lot of that might play a role in, because it is interesting that over the last 2 years, so since he lost his mother with the Rich stuff and all that, I think he truly doesn't even realize the impact that those things are having on him, because he has not dealt with those things. But in the live stream, or in the video, the apology video, the second half of it is him explaining how he's going to be better. He's going to cut down on streaming significantly. He's going to clean his house. He's going to clean his room. And he actually says something.
He said he's going to clean his house.
He's going to clean everything. He said in a follow-up Twitter post, which also forms part of the drama, by the way, but in the follow-up Twitter post, he effectively says, while he doesn't mind the way he lives, he has come to realize that he doesn't want to die this way. Living in his mother's house in absolute dirt with dead animals everywhere. This is not how he wants to die. And I respect that, right? I really hope he gets turned around.
He's a millionaire. He can go live wherever he wants. I'm sure he can afford it.
But I think it's more the psychological thing for him, you know? It's a thing of cleaning up your life.
It is a psychological thing.
He said he's not getting cleaners in to clean the house. He's going to do it himself. And I think that might be a psychological exercise for him.
Bro, let me tell you right now, if I had his kind of money, it's like, fuck that shit. Bring the cleaners in.
I wonder if...
Get somebody else to do that shit. I ain't doing it.
I would not be surprised if he maybe has read Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life book, because in that book, one of the first rules is clean your room. And there is a psychological element to it, right? You cleaning your own room is a way to get your brain
like whenever
sort of right.
Like, for instance, my area here in the office, like whenever I do like a cleanup, it is very therapeutic.
You order your own mind while doing this stuff. So he's going to be doing that. Yeah. And of course, the 14-day suspension, he views this as a wake-up call. We'll see, because it's very difficult to change. It's very difficult to change. But I do think a big part of that anger is also just, and this is something I think everyone needs to learn, whether you are anti the woke stuff, for the woke stuff, in the political sphere, whatever it is, always take moments to just breathe outside of this stuff. Because I've noticed in my own life, if I spend every moment in this stuff,
you see, you're falling down that rabbit hole too. Because every fucking time we talk, like the woken gaming, we need to.
But here's the thing,
bro.
I only do it on Fridays when we record this, and then
I'm only anti-woke on Fridays.
I'm anti-woke always, but I only spend time on it.
Especially on Fridays.
I only spend time on it when I'm researching it, but then usually, so on Saturdays, I'm not even at home. I'm out doing things with friends, and I don't spend any time on political bullshit. On Sundays, I'm out with friends. I don't spend any time. On Mondays, I generally don't make videos. I don't do anything. I take Mondays off, and I also spend no time on it. So, because I used to be exactly what you just said. I wake up in the morning and I go on Reddit and I start reading up about all this woke stuff.
This fucking woke
and
stuff.
It makes you negative. It starts breaking down your normal life to where eventually you can't speak about anything else. This is just your life is this.
This is why I'm like, I'll play it and I'll see what I think about it. And I'll see like everybody saying, it's super woke. You have no... Okay. If I look at the trailers and I look at the gameplay and I'm like, that looks cool, I'll play it and then I'll figure it out. Which is kind of like the case for Veilguard, which is like, I look at it and it's like, yep, it looks like it might be pretty woke, but that gameplay does look somewhat interesting. So let's find out. And I'm going to win and I'm going to... But the thing is, I'm a content creator. If I was an average user rather than a content creator, I don't know that I would even care that much. I'd just be like, I don't know about that one. Wait for a sale.
Dude, you can see it with people close to you. So I have a friend who's one of the happiest, used to be one of the happiest, funniest guys ever. Like, he would just live his life. He couldn't care less about anything. And then he started going down the political rabbit hole because of stuff that happened in his own life. And none of the stuff that he believes is wrong. Right? Factually, everything he believes is absolutely correct. But it has turned him into... You basically, whenever you talk to him, the only thing he'll talk about is politics. He never smiles, never makes jokes. He's just about the politics. And it's gotten to the point where I barely hang out with him anymore. Because outside of making YouTube videos and my live streams, I don't want to talk about politics. I do that for a living. I don't want to fucking do it in my free time. So in my free time, when people ask me about my political opinion, my answer is usually, I don't fucking know. And I just move on and do my own thing.
I don't care about politics.
So I try to catch that balance, and I think Asmon is going to have to catch that balance.
I do that on both things, though. It's like I do it when I'm live streaming, and I do it in my real life. What are your politics? I don't give a fuck. That's my politics.
Yeah, I mean, everyone it is one of my interests. So I do spend time on it because it makes me happy to spend time on it. But when you spend too much time on it, it does steal that happiness. That happiness very quickly turns into not that bad happiness.
And by the way, I have a lot of American friends. Some of them support Trump. Still good friends with him. Some of them support Kamala. Still good friends with them. I don't care. I don't care whether you like Trump or whether you like...
Same.
I don't care.
I couldn't give two shits.
It means nothing to me. You like what you like. I care more about like, hey, are we going to play some video games today, or are we going to chat about something, whatever, let's talk. But this whole political bullshit, I don't give a fuck.
I'm the same. With my friends, at least, I'm like, dude, vote who you want to vote for. I can care less.
And the interesting part is that sometimes I'll have people weigh in favor of one or the other candidate, and they don't even live in America. And I'm like, why do you care? Like, I'm talking to like European people, Portuguese people, they'll be like, oh man, that Trump. Or the other way around, oh man, that Kamala. Oh, Joe Biden. And I'm like, why do you care? You don't live there. This means nothing to you. What the fuck do you mean?
True.
It's so weird. Like, they'll be more in tune with American politics than the politics of my own country, which is in fucking shambles.
I mean,
and I'm like, talk to me about the politics of our country, which is in fucking shambles.
No one cares about that, right? They just want to talk about the American.
No, it's just we need to talk about the American elections. Like, why?
Because the Americans keep talking about their fucking elections like it's the only thing that matters. But at least not all Americans. I do know a couple that really just enjoy life and don't give a shit about any of this. So
yes,
but
exactly.
Okay, so Asmongold, I think a big part of that anger that you saw, that out of character thing, is that he's allowed himself to go so deep into the rabbit hole that you stop seeing the world as a place that you can just live in, right? And suddenly the whole world is this political war that you're fighting. And then, of course, it comes out that OTK is breaking ties with Asmongold. He has stepped down as the CEO of one of the active partners in OTK.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that I don't agree with. I'm like, well, what the fuck? OTK is formed. Let's face it, because he even says it. If you remember the forming of OTK, the video where he's like, oh, so we made an org, and I decided I wanted to make an org with my friends. What kind of friends are these that, like, dude says something stupid, clearly, in a way, it's almost like a cry for help, right? Because, like, he just said some really dumb shit. All of his friends are just like, well, fuck him, I guess. It's like, what the fuck is that? I'm like, what the fuck is that? Not to mention, I think it's actually going to end up being worse for them to do this. Because obviously they're looking at it as like a company, right? Oh, we need to distance ourselves from this thing because of the ramifications and all of that. And it's not even like, you remember when Mizkif had all of those things with the sexual allegations and all that bullshit? He stepped down from a leadership position but he didn't step out. The org didn't distance themselves from him.
I think this is the same. So he stepped down from a leadership position.
No.
I don't think he's left completely.
I think... No, because Starforge said we've mutually agreed to part ways. The statement of Starforge literally says we've mutually agreed to part ways. I forget what it says on the OTK one. I don't know if it's the same thing, but yeah, it's a separation.
Trying to see quickly.
The Starforge thing was a definitive separation.
Let's see OTK.
And that's the thing that I'm at. And here's the thing, right? With the Mizgift thing, there was a bunch of like drama and hidden things and all of this other stuff. With Asmongold was like, yeah, I said some dumb shit, and then he made an apology video. Instantly disavowed all of the things that he said. Instantly.
So the OTK one says the following. They say, yesterday evening we spoke with Zach and he will be stepping away from his roles at OTK and our affiliate companies, Starforge, Mythic, and Mad Mushroom. So
see, he's not stepping down from leadership. He's stepping down from all of his roles.
That's the thing that I also took from it. But then in my video, a lot of people were saying, no, he's still one of the founders and he's still part of it. He's just no longer one of the leaders.
But Starforge straight up says, we're cutting ties. The Starforge one, you can say we've mutually agreed to part ways. And this is because a lot of people started saying like, oh, I'm no longer going to be representing Starforge because of the dumb shit that Asmongold said and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, look, more power to them. You as a partner, you do what you got to do. But I think that Starforge and OTK cutting him off, I'm just like, I don't think that's particularly right. Especially the OTK one, they pretty much hanged him out to dry. And it's like, these are your friends.
Yeah.
I thought that's
I
fucked
find
up.
it very interesting that also yesterday, I don't know if that's changed since, but yesterday going on Miskiff's Twitter, he has said nothing about the whole thing. Acevand has said nothing about the whole thing.
Miskiff better keep his fucking mouth
in my
shut.
opinion, if you're a friend of this guy, you're gonna at least acknowledge that, right? You're gonna at least acknowledge that, listen, this is my friend.
You're gonna have to acknowledge, hey, listen, this is my friend.
You made some mistakes, but it is what
it
is.
Blah, blah, blah.
We'll see.
It's like I've had to deal with a situation somewhat not exactly like this, because obviously, Asmongold has like this degree of reach that most people don't have. But I've had a friend of mine who did some shit. Okay? Some not good shit. And I could have just very easily been like, oh yeah, I'm cutting him off. Fuck this guy forever. It's like, whatever. Rather than that, I tried to set him on the right path. I'm like, hey, listen, you did some fucked up shit. You did. This is really fucked up. But maybe this is the way that I look at it. But like when you have a friend that's down, you don't kick him in the fucking teeth.
You're a friend. You're there for him.
You try to set him on the right path. Exactly. I spent hours speaking with this friend of mine and the shit that he did. People that I didn't even knew, that I had never interacted with before. I took the time to speak to these people about what happened, to understand the whole situation and all of that. And then I went back to them and I was like, yeah, you did some fucked up shit. That was fucked up what you did, and that was not right. Now you have to decide, are you going to keep doing fucked up shit, or are you going to clean up your act? You have a lot of shit to make up for. And that's that. I tried basically speaking with everybody involved and try to, listen, this thing happened. We all need to talk about it. But I did not desert my friend, because that is not what
that's my...
Maybe this is me having this antiquated notion of brotherhood and friendship and all of this shit. But like when somebody's down, I don't go in there and kick them in the teeth for something that they're probably already feeling like shit for.
So there's two ways I'm looking at this. The one is, yes, if this was indeed one of those mutual decisions, but it is actually not mutual, all of the owners secretly voted and just let you know in an email, listen here, take your shit and leave, then that is super fucked up. But I can also see a world in which Asmon himself said, look, guys, I believe in the org that we started here. I believe in Starforge. I believe in what we're doing. And I know that my presence here is going to destroy all of the jobs we've created, all of the things we're trying to do here. So I'm going to be taking a step away.
But even still, I think that the messaging needs to take that into account if that was the case.
I agree with you.
Because the messaging right now is both OTK and Starforge. They're just like, yep, fuck them.
No, I definitely agree with you there.
And again, they're free to do whatever the fuck they want. I'm not like a friend of Asmongold. I don't know Asmongold, so it's not my responsibility. I'm just saying, if I was, this would not be the way that I would handle it. I agree with you.
But that's where we are now. And then, of course, just a final note that I'll just quickly throw out here. I do not agree with the 14-day suspension from Twitch. You have people like Hassan that have said way worse about Israel and about, like, he has literally said the exact same thing about Israel, and he's still there.
No, see, that's the thing. It's not that I don't agree that Asmongold was suspended. I think Asmongold should have been suspended for what he said, because it was very much. I mean, I think Asmongold agrees that he should have been suspended. I just think that Hassan should have also been suspended like a multitude of times for the sick shit that he said, because he said even worse things. 100%.
So I'm, I guess, a little bit more of a free speech absolutist in that way. I don't care what people say. I'd rather they say it where I can hear how stupid they are than say it where I cannot hear how stupid they are. So from my perspective, let people say whatever the fuck they want, because ultimately I can literally just block them if I really don't want to hear what they have to say.
But the thing is, you're still free to say whatever the fuck you want. Being, free speech does not mean freedom of consequence.
Yeah, but freedom of consequence, in my opinion, is an individual thing, right? So if I say something that truly offends you and rises to the level of what we would call illegal,
but what if
then you can sue me, and that would be a rightful consequence.
Yeah, but imagine this. All of a sudden, I go on Twitch and I start spewing out some racist bullshit and trying to incite my audience to go up against and actually take action against people because I don't like their race.
Right? Incitement to violence is very different to hate speech. If you're just saying hateful shit, as long as you don't tell your audience, boys, that's where they are. Listen, go buy the guns. Let's go.
That's a very thin line. Yeah, that's like saying like, oh man, I wish this person would die in a video game.
Yeah, but
come on, we all know what the fuck is happening. Which, by the way, is something that Hassan has said multiple times.
But you see, where I am on this is, I understand theoretically where you're coming from and people who argue like you. I understand the theory behind it. What I do not trust is who are the ones that get to make the decision, because ultimately who are we trusting to make the rules? Because we see it in Twitch, the rules are not applied equally.
That part I agree with you. Twitch does not apply their rules equally. Like literally, there was that girl that strep just had sex on stream.
3-day.
That was a 3-day ban, and it's like, what?
Dude, like,
excuse me.
Our son says consistently, I hope he kills himself in a video game. He says the exact same thing about the Jews, and nothing ever happens to him. Asmongold says it, 14-day suspension. I don't agree with, because the thing is, no matter who tries to police this, they're always going to police it from their own bias, because humans cannot act without bias.
Twitch is
and this is why I say let's not police it, because I cannot trust you to police it honestly. So I would rather than just have everyone be able to say whatever the hell they want, and I'm able to block them if they're just talking crap, which I think Asmongold did do in that live stream. He said a bunch of shit that he should not have said in the way that he said it. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, but it's like, but that's the thing. I don't mind that he was suspended. I think he should have been suspended. But I also just think that there's a lot of other people on Twitch that should have been suspended for also saying some really heinous shit, and they haven't been, and that clearly shows a bias. And that I think is where there is a problem.
But I mean, it is what it is. We have,
and again, people don't come here for our political commentary.
No. I just think Twitch needs to clean up their fucking act. Anyways, moving on from the Asmongold drama, because maybe that's the end of it. We'll see when Asmon finally returns, because in his returning speech,
we'll see what happens.
Which was actually funny as fuck. He literally says on Reddit, let me just quickly see, because I don't want to misquote this. On Reddit, he says,
he said that when he comes back, he's going to react to a DEI.
He says he's immediately going to react to the DI stuff and so on. So people immediately lost their crap at him.
I bet that makes you happy,
of course,
right?
Keep going, bro. But yeah, so, we'll see. We'll see. At the end of the day, we'll see what happens with Asmon coming back, how he's going to come back. We'll have an update for you if there is anything to update about. Now, on to, this is the kind of negative news that I know Rurikon thrives on. It's Destiny news. And Destiny has a wonderful new game coming out.
They announced, man. It's just been absolutely amazing. Destiny's been an amazing game. They totally haven't driven that franchise into the fucking ground with mismanagement, abusive microtransactions, just like taking advantage of their player base at any chance that they can get, which, by the way, their player base, the Destiny player base, is so Stockholm syndromed by these developers that it is actually sickening to see them just like, no, Destiny's actually good. It's like, no, bro, Destiny is rotten to the fucking core, and the only way that company needs to go is the way of the fucking dodo. Bungie needs to burn to the fucking ground. I've said it a million times. I'll say it again with a full chest. And people are telling me, I can't think of the developers. It's like, I am thinking of the developers. The developers need to think of themselves for a chance. The developers don't deserve this, but the fact is the developers are going to keep getting laid off at regular basis because the leadership is where the problem is. And we're not going to get rid of the leadership. So it needs to burn to the ground. That's the only solution for Destiny as far as I'm concerned. They've been a grossly abusive company this whole time. So now they're doing the best decision they can for their players, and that is, guys, we're making a mobile game.
Ooh.
We know you guys wanted a new Destiny expansion. We know you guys wanted Destiny 3, but fuck all that. You're getting a mobile game. But don't worry, we got the best possible partner to work with us on this video game. They're the best in the mobile gaming business. They make the most fair games to play. They have the most pro-consumer advocacy possible. They are they're just the best. They're the best at everything. It's the skin job company, NetEase. The people behind such titles as Diablo Immortal.
Oh man, you're selling me on this game. I am all aboard.
Yeah, dude. This game, listen, they haven't straight up said it. I've watched a little bit of their video. They haven't straight up said it, but I'm 99% sure this game right here is going to be a fucking gotcha.
Oh, yeah.
It's a Destiny gotcha. And here's how it's going to work. Okay, guys, let me tell you. It's going to have good gameplay. I'm not joking. It will have good gameplay. They will let you play it for free for say the first 10 hours. They're going to feel pretty good. And then when you play the first 10 hours, you're going to hit the first wall. And you're going to be like, oh man, if I spend some money, I can go over this wall. Or I can grind for another 10 hours and I can go over this hump and I'll be fine. So you're going to go okay, that's fine. I'll grind these 10 hours. It's all good. And then 5 hours later, you're going to hit a much harder wall. That's going to require, so to get over this wall, I'm going to have to grind about 40 hours. Or I can give them $5. I've played all this time, so I might as well give them $5. And that's how they get you. They crack your wallet with that first it's probably not even going to be $5. It's going to be 99 cents or some ridiculous thing that, it's going to be you can play this for 20 hours or give us 99 cents. And you're going to give them the 99 cents. And the moment you give them the 99 cents, they're like,
gotcha, bitch.
Gotcha, bitch. So now there's going to be wall after wall after wall after wall. And they're going to milk you slowly. It's going to be okay, now it's $5. Now it's $10. Now it's $20. And before you know it, you're 200 hours in and $100 in. And at that point, they've got you by the balls. And that's what they're going to do with this video game. That is 100% what you can expect from this Destiny experience. And it is going to be, by the time you get to that end game, it's going to be a pile of shit. It's going to be a bunch of fucking RNG of you trying to, it's going to be you trying to pull a certain character that you want so that you can prestige that character. And you're going to get every other character because they actively look into which characters you have and which characters you're working on the most and make sure that there's a lesser chance of getting the character that you're working on so that you can keep rolling the fucking slot machine like a peasant. And you want to know what the best part about this is, Asmongold? Asmongold, fuck. You want to know what the best part about this is, Akalon? Is that I can't wait for the people that are going to play this game to run into this clip and come running down here. You don't understand. It's a really good game. And they're going to defend this shit with their dying breath. And let me tell you guys, in advance, to all those people that are going to come in here and try to defend this shit, here's what I have to tell you. Okay, listen. I got some. Wait, I have something here for you.
Okay.
Give me a second. There you go. There you go, right there. That's what you get.
Look, at the end of the day, I think when it comes to...
For the people listening in audio, that was a middle finger.
Right in the camera. I think the issue that I have with mobile games in general is that there are very few mobile games that isn't gacha. And whenever big AAA studios dive into the gacha genre that is mobile games, you know that that is sort of like the last death knell. Because once they get into that, because mobile games always make money, always. And there's a lot of money going around in the mobile gaming industry. Once they're in there, they don't really give a shit about the main game anymore. Because PC isn't the main game.
Yeah.
Mobile is the main game. So then they can just wreck it all the time, make it the most egregious experience ever, and just not give a crap. Look at Diablo 4. Diablo 4 has been...
I would like to point out, not everybody is like
No, there
that.
might be exceptions, but as I said, majority, right? So there are exceptions. There's always exceptions, but as is always the case, exceptions do not prove the rule. You look at Diablo, right? Diablo 4 has been an absolute shit show for most of its existence. The new expansion apparently still has a bunch of issues, and the greed in that game is definitely on display. And the reason again for it is, they don't actually give a shit. Because Diablo Immortal made them a ton of cash. It's probably still making them a ton of cash. So fundamentally, they couldn't care less about Diablo 4 pissing off some of the gamers that are maybe a bit more pure in terms of how we want to play games. Because they don't care. They're making games now. It used to be games were made for gamers and some games would have whales. Nowadays, games are made for whales and some of them have gamers.
And some of them have gamers. Listen, you want to know how you know that Diablo 4, the new expansion, is not great? Is because even Carnage took a dump all over it. Okay.
Yeah, that is how you know.
And I'm not saying this because, like, listen, Carnage, I love Carnage. He is awesome, but usually he tends to be very milquetoast on games that he doesn't like. He's like, well, I can see this thing. He took a dump all over Diablo 4 expansion. He was like, let her rip. And I was like, oh, damn. That means it's really bad.
I feel sorry for Blizzard in a way, but just because of how far this company has fallen. From being one of the most celebrated studios in gaming to now being a studio. I mean, you even have it. I know this wasn't even one of the topics, but dude, do you know who Towley is?
Yes, Roberto.
Towley, the tank, the paladin tank for
Yes, Roberto.
Okay,
that's his name.
I don't know his name. I just know him as Towley.
I know him personally. I've met him personally.
Towley took a dump on the War Within. Now, Towley famously never says bad things about WoW, ever. He plays the game. He is always super positive. So when he comes out and says, not the best experience I've had, I'm not having that much fun, And I think he even tweeted out that he wants Riot to make their MMO as quickly as possible because he can't keep playing. He needs a new MMO. Then you kind of know. Okay, I think he tweeted it out. It may have been someone else. So don't quote me on this. But when that happens, you kind of know, shit. Right? Now, I'm having fun in The War Within, but that might just be because I like the story and I kind of like the more chill vibes. But the people that play the game a bit more hardcore, they're very unhappy. The people that play Diablo a bit more hardcore, I've seen tweets from people saying, literally, they can release Path of Exile now, even if it's unfinished, they'll still fucking play it just to not have to play Diablo. That's where we are, right? That's how far Blizzard have fallen. Overwatch is a complete dumpster fire. Who even cares about that game at this point? So this company that was once the most celebrated company in all of gaming is now releasing dud after dud after dud. And you kind of go, at what point is it enough? At what point does Microsoft just go, you're not worth the amount of money that you cost?
Let me tell you something. Something. It doesn't matter. And the reason it doesn't matter is because for every person that complains, you have all of those defenders that will defend this shit till their dying breath. Like, you remember when I complained about the boosts? What did people do? The overwhelming majority response of people was, fuck you, shut the fuck up, you don't even play the game, you have no idea what you're talking about, you're a moron, blah, 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 blah. Like, and people saying, like, I'm going to buy 3 boosts just to spite you. That was the response. So it's like, when you have that type of loyalty from your player base, it doesn't matter. They can put out a turd this big, and they can lay it flat on your table in front of them, in front of these people, and you know what they're going to do? They're going to pick up this spoon right here, this small spoon, so that they don't even really take up like a big like soup spoon. They want to savor it slowly. So they'll be like, eating that big wad of poop that Blizzard just placed on their table. And they're going to be like, I love smell. Delicious. Oh, yes. Oh, because fuck criticizing the game. No, we don't do that here. No. We just blindly consume. And while people continue to do that, things will never change. And here's the thing. A lot of people, they like to say, well, I'm just one guy. It's not going to make a difference if I buy the boost, if I don't buy the boost. That doesn't make a difference. They're not going to change anything because I'm just one person. Ask Ubisoft how I feel about that. Ask Ubisoft how they feel about that. Their stock, because of one guy at a time basically saying, you know what? I'm done with your bullshit. Their stock were like,
but see, this is the good news. Gaming collapses, or the collapse of gaming studios, don't happen overnight. They're slow. And then suddenly. Think of Ubisoft. It went swimmingly for so many years. We all kept warning, this is bullshit. This is going to kill the company. And the lovers kept saying, no, you fuck you. You don't know what you're talking about. And then eventually, you see, and this is what's happening. In Dragonflight, a bunch of people said, I hate this. I don't want to play this. And they started leaving. In Shadowlands, a bunch of people said, I hate this. I don't want to play this. And they left. In Battle for Azeroth, a bunch of people said, I hate this. I don't want to play this. And they left. In War Within, you have a bunch of people saying, I hate this. I don't want to play this. And they're leaving. The core audience, slowly but surely with every expansion, is being diminished. Because once you've taken a step away from the game, even if you return,
especially with an MMORPG,
the door is now always open. Right? Once you open that door and you walk away from the game once, the door remains open. Which means,
for me, it was Cataclysm. During Cataclysm, I burned out really hard, and I've never been really back to World of Warcraft since then. And I've tried. I've played almost every expansion. The one expansion I didn't play was Mists. All the other expansions, I played them for a little bit, and I always end up leaving shortly after I begin because I am never satisfied with what they're doing. And the interesting thing to me is that audience that is there, they just keep saying, you're not the target audience anymore. And it's like, I'm not, bro, I'm literally the most core audience of World of Warcraft because guess what? Even after I quit playing the game, I'm still fucking obsessed by it. I should be the person that they should definitely be targeting towards because, like, here's the other thing. When a lot of people, they want to buy the skips and shit to get through and go do the raids of Dragonflight, I was like, bro, I wish I could just be able to follow the story. That's all. I just want to be able to follow it without having to go to Wowhead to understand which of the quest lines I should be following because there's fucking 5 of them and they're all out of order. I'm like, I'm the guy that wanted to do all of the content and I couldn't even figure out how to fucking do it because the game is so... Because Blizzard doesn't even care about the content.
But this is sadly, this is how it happens. It's slowly and then all at once. So we are walking towards that all at once unless Blizzard can make a giant turnaround here. And the same is either going to happen for Destiny or they're going to go down the drain.
No, Destiny's going to go down the drain 100%. But here's the thing. While they're going down the drain, this Destiny Rising game, that's a mobile game, they're going to make a fuckload of money. Because I already know, because especially right now, people are so disillusioned with the main game that the moment this mobile game comes out, everybody's going to jump on it and they're going to gargle on NetEase's balls. They're going to go, oh, yes, oh, give me that gotcha goodness. That's what they're going to be doing. They're going to be gargling on NetEase balls and they're going to be saying, this is the best game since fucking sliced bread. And then eventually they're going to hit those walls and they're going to be like, actually, guys, oops.
Well, we can only hope, right?
It is what it is.
Because at this point, I genuinely believe you'll see there's a topic coming up later where we're talking about the PlayStation boss or X-boss, and it falls into the same thing. We can only hope that the forest fire takes with it the mess and the bad shit, and hopefully we can see some new growth happening. Yeah. Onto a company that is probably they've made their last game. And then that game will never, that company will now be closed down forever. Probably.
BioWare?
BioWare. So we do have some good news about Dragon Age Veilguard. Why don't you take it away with the good news before we get into the problematic stuff?
Bro. Dragon Age Veilguard is not going to have the Nouveau.
Yeah, that was actually, I was surprised when I saw that. I was like, dude, finally, some of the gaming companies are waking up going, let's not put this thing that consistently breaks the games into the game. How about we just don't add that?
Yeah, let's just like not do that. So they went like, oh, we trust you guys. You don't have to, there's no de novo, no DRM, no bullshit. Okay, that was cool. I was like, all right, that's cool. And there was only 2 additions to the game, which was also very surprising because usually, you have like, oh, here's this one, and then we cut away this bit of content, then here's that other one. And in both editions, the only other things that come with it is cosmetic shit.
Yeah, I thought
nothing that affects
definitely
gameplay.
Agreed with that.
No cut content, nothing. And I was like, all right. I mean, these are 2 good things that Veilguard is doing. We should talk about it because, hey, whenever people do bad, we talk about bad. Whenever they do something that is good, I'm like, all right, we should praise the good things that happen in the industry. Like, this game's not going to have the Nouveau. This game only has 2 editions and no cut content. So not like what Ubisoft usually does and shit like that. And I was like, that's kind of good. But then I get here today and Akalon's like, I got you, fam.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. I got your Veilguard news here, buddy.
I was standing with my dick in my hand, ready to go. Because, yes, for all the good things that Dragon Age Veilguard has done, and look, I'm the first person to agree. I think the gameplay looks decent. There's some things that bother me. I was watching like a gameplay reveal trailer thing. There's definitely some things that bother me. The gameplay doesn't look... It looks a little mobile-y, if I'm honest with you. The graphics can sometimes look a little bit mobile-y. But even then, it looks fine. And I think it can be a fun experience, at least in that regard. The glaring issues with the game is really problematic. So we know for a fact that this game is political. If you look at the developers behind this game, all of them are overtly political. And they've now started doing, and this is really it's one of my favorite PR moves in the gaming industry in recent years, where a game is about to come out. The players that want to play that game criticize the game because it looks like ass, and a lot of the female characters are made to look a lot worse. Some of the male characters, there's just like a bunch of problems.
So listen,
right?
before we even go to the female characters, that I know that a subsection of people will come in and talk about how we're misogynists because we like hot characters. And it's like, that's the whole point of a fantasy game. We're living out fantasies.
The lead writer has you covered. He called you porn brain.
Yeah, I know.
For wanting hot females. Yeah, you're porn brain. You want hot females in your video game because you just watch porn the whole time.
I don't want all the females to be hot. You need to have some degree of contrast so that the hot females look really hot, and then there's the less hot females and so on and so forth. But like, listen, in Mass Effect, you know who I romanced? The chick with the helmet.
Oh, Talia.
I couldn't even see her face.
Yeah.
Yeah, Talia.
Yeah.
She's the one. She's
Miranda
the one I romanced.
All the way, bro.
I don't think. Of course. Yeah, I would expect that from you, you misogynist prick.
And Liara as well.
But I was so disappointed because, like, that in Mass Effect 3 they revealed her face, and then it was revealed that it was a fucking stock photo. It was a stock photo. They literally used the stock photo for her face. Yeah, they did. Because after you romance her and you have sex with her and all of that stuff, you get a picture of her in your cabin.
Yes, you're right.
And that picture is a fucking stock photo.
I remember. I kind of remember that. But then again, I
was like, why would you do this to me?
I mean, yeah.
But anyway, just besides the point, just saying that even in Mass Effect, I was given like all the hottest, and I was like, no, I like this one. Yeah. She's cool. I like her. I want her instead. But anyway, besides the point, right? Beyond just talking about whether or not you want hot females, the Kunari look fucking stupid. Yeah. Okay? I've played Dragon Age 2, and I didn't like Dragon Age 2, but the Kunari were a badass race, right? They're kind of like a little bit antagonists, not exactly
rich
antagonists,
lore.
but
they have really cool story.
Yeah, exactly. They have rich lore. They have all of this stuff, and they look like these beastly dudes, right? They got like the horn things and like all the lots of texture in their face, and like big. And now they're fucking handsome Squidward.
They look awkward.
That's what they are.
It genuinely.
Yeah, they look fucking no. It's not weird. They look fucking stupid. That's what they fucking stupid is the accurate definition of what the Kunari look like in this game. So it's like when we want to criticize certain things of Dragon Age, I don't have to go about whether or not I think that the females are hot or whatever. The Kunari are fucking stupid. We can establish that. And then also the dwarf, I always forget it, Tarek, I think is his name.
Varric.
The dwarf also looks fucking Varric. Also looks fucking stupid compared to what he's looked like in previous games. At all
like what he used to look like. It's like, wait.
Exactly. Exactly. Varric, who is like this very squashbuckling rogue type of dude, always ready to go. In this game, every footage we've seen, Varric is like this. Oh, my life is so miserable. I'm a middle-aged dwarf. Oh, I'm so miserable. You have no idea how hard my life is. It's like, bro, this is not Varric, not even by the way that he looks and not by the way that he acts, by no way does he look like Varric, okay? And I should know because I love dwarves, all right? So it's like this. There's a big tonal shift in Veilguard that I don't agree with, but that's precisely why I'm like, I want to play it. But I want to see it for myself so that I can.
But this is exactly the drama, right? We're in this arc again, where every other fucking game has been. The game is announced. Gamers are unhappy because of decisions that you made that you didn't have to make. You could literally have just kept it the fucking way that it's been for the last 3, but no, you knew better. And then the developers start.
I'm not against them making changes.
It depends on the changes that you make,
changes.
Right? The problem is when you make Varric not look like fucking Varric, and then you also change his character entirely. Then why was this change approved? Like, for who is this? Varric is a lot of people's favorite character in the fucking game.
to me, it's like I support developers making changes when they're making a sequel or when they're making a new game, when they're like, fuck yeah, make changes that appeal to your core audience. Or even make some changes that bring in a new audience.
But you
that's
just
fine
hit the nail on the head.
But do not alienate your core audience. That's the biggest mistake that you can make.
You just hit the nail on the head. And I hate doing this because I keep having to go to the fucking East to get good examples of this. Elden Ring. Elden Ring is a game that keeps the brilliance that Dark Souls fans love about Dark Souls, but then also introduces a bunch of features that new players to the franchise, to the genre, can interact with and enjoy without taking away from the core audience. The core audience can still have their core experience. And that's what you want to do. You cannot, and this is what most of the gaming industry does nowadays, they go, well, we're making games for the modern audience, all 100 of them. And this means fuck all of our core fans. We make games for the modern audience. And it's like, well, why don't you make the game for the core fans and then add a couple of things for the modern audience? That might be a better fucking business move, I think, overall, rather than doing what is now happening on Twitter, by the way. The devs of Dragon Age Veilguard have started to attack the players, calling the players pawn-brained, the former lead writer for Dragon Age Veilguard and also for Origins, basically called players pawn-brained for wanting hot female characters.
Imagine you and me going up to our audience and saying, you guys are fucking stupid. You're so dumb. Just imagine that, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're going up to your audience and just like, you guys are so fucking dumb. God damn, you're stupid. Like, just out of nowhere. It's like, what is your audience going to think? It's like, what the fuck do you mean? Like, excuse me?
But then, of course, also being surprised when you start losing subscribers. Just being like, what? Why is everyone leaving after I told them to go fuck themselves?
Why don't people like me? Why don't people like me anymore?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, why are people leaving me? Why are people unsubscribing after I told them they're a bunch of morons? Well, what else? But this is the fucking cycle, right? They're now telling gamers to go fuck themselves. They're the evil ones. Then the game fails, and then the gamers get blamed for not playing the game after they told the gamers to go fuck themselves.
It's your fault.
It's like, dude,
it's your fault. Like, I've seen that the Dustborn people are really like going after and saying that we are evil or
the
something.
CEO literally calls the gamers evil,
and it's like, so a bunch of people kept telling gamers that this game is not for you, and then gamers are like, okay, I guess I'll go play something else, and now gamers are the
evil bastards for not playing our game that we told you not to play. It's like, bro, weird.
It's just weird. And again, like I've always said, I don't want these games to fail. I don't want them to not make these games. Like, dude, make the games. Make whatever game you want to make. This is like the same thing. You know how there's a lot of people talking about how Dragon Age Veilguard has the whole setting where you cannot lose. There's like a difficulty setting where there's no death or whatever it is. And I'm just like, I don't agree with that setting, but I think that if that's what developers want to make, go right ahead and make them. Okay? That's the way that I look at it. The thing that bothers me is that when From Software comes out with their next game and there's no difficulty setting, everybody's like, Why is there no easy mode?
I mean, but
it needs an easy mode.
But From Software is just laughing as they're crediting the checks, though.
It doesn't. My game doesn't even like. Listen, I'm not coming over here to your game that has like a zillion difficulty settings and a no death mode and all of that. I'm not coming over here and demanding. No. You got to change it. That you need to have death. Death needs to happen in the game. But at some point, it's like, no, it's none of my business. If that's what the developers want to do, go right ahead and do it. I will play the game and then I will judge it based on that. But like, all I ask is the same courtesy in return, which is when, From Software releases their game, I don't want to hear anybody going like, an easy mode. Fuck your easy mode, okay, bro? From Software has got better uses for their budget.
I think in any case, if you put a difficulty slider into Elden Ring, it would literally destroy the game. There's literally no way that game
100%.
is anywhere
Yes.
near as good with an easy mode.
Yep.
Because the whole point of that game is after you kill a very difficult boss, you get the biggest the biggest e-boner you've ever had in your life. It's like, bro, what?
Yeah.
So
the sense of achievement, that's the reason why they need that difficulty there, but there are so many people that just don't understand, and I'm just like, okay, I'm sorry you don't understand, that's too bad for you.
Go play Tetris, or Veilguard.
The game is here if you want to play it, and if you don't want to play it, there's literally a million, and I do mean that literally, there's literally a million other games that have difficulty settings for you to play. There's like 1 or 2 games that don't have difficulty settings. Don't play those ones. It's that simple. But then,
so the developers are attacking the players. I'm not going to go into it because some of it literally will get this video pushed way down in terms of where we are.
We're already there.
But all you have to know is you're blamed for not liking the game as is, and you will be blamed once the game fails, because it will fail. Because yesterday,
listen.
Yeah? No, yesterday a YouTuber
Go ahead, sorry.
had an interview with one of the game testers. Now, the YouTuber says that she did her due diligence to make sure that this person was in fact a tester. The person showed them evidence that they were a tester. And from this, so there's no spoilers in this, by the way. They didn't go into spoilers at all. The guy just explained, or the tester explained, the things that they saw and that they gave feedback on that was really bad. So the taster, firstly, says that this game isn't just woke, it is super woke. And they say that pronouns are in your face in this game. Like, all of the characters have their pronouns very, very openly for everyone to see. And this is where this becomes an actual real problem, even for people who don't mind pronouns. So I, for example, and me and Rukan have had this discussion many times before. The only reason pronouns in the character creation screen bother me is it immediately makes me think, what the hell else is in this game now? Right? I don't actually care about the pronouns in the character creation screen. They don't bother me because I don't give a fuck about them. I just immediately wonder, if you cared about adding them to the character creation screen, what else did you care about adding into the game? Rurikon takes more the approach, he doesn't care at all, and he'll still play it. It's whatever.
I don't. The way that I look at it, and it's what I've always said, I'll play it and judge for myself once I get into the game. Like, you can make some assumptions based on the fact, okay, there's pronouns here, there's all. You can tell that, like, okay, because of what has happened before in other video games where that stuff is heavily promoted head on. There are times where you go in there and then you find out, okay, there's a bunch of more, overtly political messaging throughout the game that they're going to beat you over the head and lecture you over and over and over. And then it's really up to the game to whether make it good or make it bad. For instance, I played the entirety of Starfield. Starfield also has pronouns. And it's like, I liked parts of Starfield, particularly the faction quests, I thought were really good. But the main story was ass.
I mean, the bits that I played about Starfield, I didn't see anything woke. It was just the pronouns that was in the starting screen, right? Or in the character creation.
I believe that there's a couple of side quests, but I actually never even ran into those
My
side
reasons
quests,
for disliking Starfield had fuck all to do with politics. It was just a bad game.
Exactly. But that's the thing, right? I will judge each game based on its own merits, not on whether or not they choose to put pronouns. Because, like I said, pronouns doesn't bother me. The one thing that I am curious about, and I think I've made this argument before, you have like your pronouns and all of this stuff. Is the villain character allowed to purposefully misgender you because they're the villain?
I don't think so. I think that would be a bridge too far. You're not allowed to misgender people, apparently. So, the villain... No,
they're the villain. They're supposed to be the evil guys.
They're respectful of your pronouns. They'll respect your pronouns, always. They might want to destroy the world, but they will call you by your pronouns before they do so.
I just Like, I'm sorry, maybe that's insensitive, but I do think that's funny. It's like, are the villains allowed to misgender you, or is that not?
But okay, so here's where this is literally what I'm talking about. The taster says not only are there pronouns in the character creation screen, the companions introduce themselves by their pronouns and also by their sexualities. So when you meet the Kunari companion, she literally tells you, I identify myself as non-binary. So can you talk of anything that is more fucking immersion breaking than suddenly having a character in a fantasy universe telling you their pronouns? Like, this is some shit that we get in the real world. No one wants this in a fantasy world. Just be who the fuck you are. I don't care. But this is apparently a thing that is happening and happens all throughout the game. Here's where the politics go even further. Romances were, when they tasted it, completely locked to genders. Now, he did say that it may, in fact, have changed due to the success of Baldur's Gate 3, because when Baldur's Gate 3 came out and it was as successful as they were, a lot of the people in the office were talking about, well, that's actually maybe a good idea. But when he was playing it,
before we go into the romantic options and all of that stuff, I just want to point one thing out, which is I do my best to respect people's pronouns. I'm not going to be perfect because I'm 42 years old and I've been raised for a very long time without, any of this stuff being a part of our culture, particularly in Portugal. Like, you need to understand, in Portugal specifically, we have certain words that you wouldn't even imagine are gendered. So, like, for instance, the word knife in Portuguese is female. The word fork is male.
Yeah.
Okay? This is just the way that it is. There's a bunch of words in Portuguese that are basically loaded with gender. So it's like, I do my best to respect people's pronouns and all of that stuff. So just getting that out of the way early so that people understand. I've interacted with plenty of people that identify themselves with different pronouns. And I've always done my best to be as respectful as I possibly can of that, because I just think it's basic courtesy. And if a person is respectful, I'm going to treat them respectfully however they prefer to be treated. Now, having said that, I mean, I want everybody to really think about it. In a medieval fantasy video game, does it make sense that a character that you've just met, let's say you're in a fight sequence and you're fighting and suddenly there's a stranger character fighting alongside you and you're all fighting and, you defeat the bad guys, blah, blah, blah. You have a conversation and literally the first thing this character tells you is like, hey, by the way, these are my pronouns. It's like you're still covered in blood and guts and whatever, and this character's going like, I'm non-binary, here's my pronouns. And it's like, is this really the most important information that this character... And apparently, according to what you're saying, assuming that all this information is correct,
there is that
this character will also tell you this character will also tell you their sexual preference. And it's like, bro, we just killed like God knows how many of these evil creatures. And you're sitting over here telling me about your pronouns and who you like to fuck and all the... How about we figure out what we need to do to get out of here, or what we need to do to accomplish our mission? And then when we're back at base, we can all talk about your pronouns and whether or not you want to have sex with me or with the other companions. And then we can talk about all... But if characters are just like introducing themselves like that, rather than, they come up to you and rather than saying, I am the Kunari warrior of the tribe, blah, 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 I've killed this many people, blah, 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 basically building out their backstory, they're like, I'm non-binary and I like to fuck chicks.
Yeah, that's the gist.
That is immersion breaking,
right?
And that is what I have a problem with. I don't have a problem with this character having this pronoun and this sexual preference and whether non-binary or whatever. I don't have a problem with the characters being like that, but I will have a problem if the way in which the character introduces itself breaks immersion to the game.
I will. So it goes further. Just FYI, if you choose the he/him pronouns, then you will be gender locked in who you can have sex with. You can only then have sex with Neve and Harding. Those are the only two characters that you can have sex with. The only way to have sex with...
I mean, I only want a romance Harding,
you like
so that's
dwarfs.
fine.
But the only
Hell yeah.
way that you can have sex with all of the characters,
Bro, she thick. She thick,
but
bro.
you
Damn,
can't.
boy.
You
She
see,
thick.
you can't make this shit up unless you identify in the game as pansexual. You will not be able to have sex with everyone in the game. You must be pansexual.
So I can't be he, him, and gay.
No, not from what this guy says. From what this guy says, you have to be pansexual in order to romance everyone.
I would just like to point out that that's a little bit.
Unless, of course, you can choose.
It's not very inclusive of them if that is.
Yeah, but maybe you can go he, him, bi, or he, him, gay, and then you can only have sex with the male characters. It's a whole thing. I don't know. There's probably going to be a questionnaire before it fucking starts to make sure that you aren't bullshitting yourself. You know, just to make extra sure. Are you really straight? If you fail the questionnaire, the game uninstalls itself forever. You can't play.
Is there like a spectrum of like how straight I am?
I don't know.
My straightness is a spectrum.
I don't know, bro.
Okay?
But the next thing he said,
there are certain characters I could be gay for.
So he said Solus, who, by the way, for those of you that don't know, the Veilguard
is a filthy elf.
It's the elf that's been with you since, I think, Origin was the first time you met him. No, was it two that you met him for the first time?
No. It's Inquisition.
I don't think you meet him for the first time in Inquisition.
I think.
No,
I'm pretty sure.
No, I think you meet Solus way before that. It may be two that you meet Solus for the first time. But I think in Inquisition is the first time you can have him as a member of your party. But
no, wasn't it? Wait, it might be a DLC for 1.
I have no idea. I can't remember. I played 1 and 2 very many years ago. So I genuinely can't remember. But I know when I saw Solus in Inquisition, I was excited because of Solus. So I knew Solus before I saw him in Inquisition. But it used to be called Dreadwolf because Solus was supposed to be one of the main characters within the game. Turns out the reason they changed the naming scheme from Dreadwolf to Veilguard is because Solus is now completely sidelined. You will not meet Solus will not play a big role in the game for the majority of the game.
Yeah, see, Solus only shows up in the Inquisition.
I'm pretty sure I know about Solus beforehand, but could be.
No, the thing was, you played Inquisition.
Might be.
And you met Solus.
And then I played it again.
And then you met him in the DLC.
Oh yeah, might be. I'm not sure.
Because the DLC is where you really get to interact.
It might be.
Yeah.
I just remember seeing Solus. But then again, I played Inquisition when it first came out, didn't like it, and then only played it again years later. So it might be that I made Solus, and then I met him again, and I was like, oh, I know this character. But regardless, right?
Keep going.
Solus is was supposed to be the main guy, but then got completely sidelined.
Because it was called the Dreadwolf.
I mean, it was called the Dreadwolf.
He got sidelined?
Right? The whole point of it was him. The guy also says that...
Well, you see... That's bonus points for the game. Sideline the elf.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Fuck him.
I mean, it is what it is. They did also say that the story is literally one disappointment after another. Most of the quest lines end in very weird shit that you don't understand.
I mean,
that's going to be subjective,
that's going to depend from
different people are going to enjoy
Yeah.
different things. The facial animations is Andromeda all over again. Says the facial animations is really bad, but it should be pointed out they were testing the game in 2023. The game has had time since then to be polished and changed, so it is what it is. Another thing, I'm not going to say exactly what...
It's not Andromeda now, it's SpongeBob.
Another thing I want to say, I'm not going to go into too much detail here because I don't want to give you guys even hints of spoilers, but I will say they're literal words. This is Mass Effect 3 all over again. The choices that you made in any of the previous games literally do not matter. It doesn't matter what you did at the end of number 2. Doesn't matter what you did at the end of number 3 or Inquisition. None of that matters. They didn't even try to make it matter. in terms of choices that you made, the game does what it does, and it ignores everything that you did. So according to this guy, people need to know this. Some people will care. Most people will not, because most people didn't play any of the others. Then we have Rook, also completely sidelined. He literally says Rook is a guy in a bar. Yeah, he's a guy in a bar. His backstory completely diminished. No one cares. He says then that taster feedback was completely ignored. And this was the exact feedback that he got from his boss on the feedback. His boss said, it's very good feedback, but I can't send it to them, the devs. It's very good, but basically we can't talk about the woke stuff and how it's making the game worse. So the tasters were literally told, look, any of your political stuff that you don't care, that you don't like, you can't talk about this stuff. Then we have, and again, I'm not going to use names here, and I'm not going to give the exact context because I don't want to give people spoilers. All you need to know is there is a Grey Warden in the game that failed their Grey Warden trials. And now you have to understand how Grey Warden trials work. You do a bunch of trials. One of them is going into the deep roads, killing a bunch of, and this is from Origin, so I'm not spoiling anything unless you've never played Origin. You have to kill a bunch of Darkspawn, get their blood, and then once you finish that trial, now you drink the blood of the Darkspawn. Some people die, some people don't. This character physically failed the first step. They didn't even get to the point where they drink the Darkspawn blood. But they call themselves a Grey Warden, and they are made the main Grey Warden. They make all of the decisions for the Grey Wardens. They're the boss of the Grey Wardens, effectively. And according to him, they failed upwards. And according to him, when he asked his boss, but why the hell would this be? Why not choose one of the others? Because there are apparently some very cool Grey Wardens. His boss basically said, well, he's a person of color. So it made sense for that reason. But again, it could literally take all of this with a grain of salt, because you never know how many people just want to be, great. There's a Fade segment that's apparently really bad. Varric, by the way, as Rurikon has sort of alluded to already, Varric is basically an advisor, and for the most part, he does not feature in the story. And he says this game is so far removed from Origins that it actually at times doesn't even feel like you're playing Dragon Age. He says for most of his playthrough, as someone, the reason he accepted the gig in the first place was because he's a massive Dragon Age Origins fan. And for most of the game, it doesn't even feel like you're playing Dragon Age. It feels like you're playing something completely different. So yeah, that's really everything. There's a lot of other things that's it's not official spoilers, but it is bordering on spoilers. And me and Rurikon made the decision before the podcast even started. We don't want to influence you in terms of what you can expect and when you can expect it. We'd rather, if you do want to play the game, you experience that for yourself. But yeah.
At the end of the day, it's important for people to know, like, listen, we're not sitting over here telling you this is a bad game and you shouldn't play it. The point is, this is what we know about the game so far. And if you want to play it, we don't want to spoil it for you. So go ahead, and we hope that you enjoy it. I want to play it. I'm actually a part of they have that EA creator program that a lot of people don't like when there's the EA creator program. And I was like, I don't know what you mean. I go in there, I get the game for free, and I get to say bad things about it if I want to. I've never gotten kicked out of it for criticizing EA games.
Yeah.
So. But I'm part of the EA creator program. So if they put the game on there, I should be able to get it so that I can review it and do all of that stuff. And I will see what I agree with, what I don't agree with. But one of the things that I am suspicious of is the fact that it is currently the 18th. Game comes out on the 30th, I believe.
Yeah.
And there's still no review copies there.
Yeah, they've cancelled one of the events as well that was supposed to do things. But that was a while ago, if I remember correctly.
And I have a sneaky suspicion about something a little bit shady that is going on in regards with codes for this game, but I'm not going to talk about it.
Okay, we'll see what happens there. So I think that's all we know right now, and I absolutely agree with Rurikon. There's nothing I'm not telling you to play the game or not to play the game. I can't make that decision for you. All I can say is be aware of what's happening, and hopefully that's enough. We just cover the news as it is. We just tell you what happens every single week. Then we have very quickly here. I don't even want to talk about Unknown 9 Awakening. I've had enough of this. Unknown 9 Awakening launched by a studio, guys. The studio is Reflector Entertainment. They call themselves a disruptor of the industry, and their game completely bombed. Their game currently is sitting at 125 players. Peak.
Oh my god, I hadn't watched gameplay, and I was like, as you started saying, I was like, oh right, I had this YouTube search that I was looking for Let's Plays and stuff to see what the gameplay looks like. This is rough, is putting it very,
but they're
very
disrupting
mildly.
the gaming industry.
They're disrupting it all right.
But this is another one of those.
Especially with these animations.
They work with
shit.
the founder of Sweet Baby Inc. as well as the current CEO from Sweet Baby Inc. So it's another Sweet Baby Inc. game.
See, here's the thing. I don't think it matters that they've worked with it, because I'm looking at the gameplay right now. I don't think that.
No, I mean,
I don't think that this game is failing specifically because of Sweet Baby Inc. I just put it like that. I'm looking at this game. I was like, "Holy shit, this looks rough."
Yeah, I mean,
damn, this looks rough.
But it is what it is, right? At least they got their political points, and now the game is failing. That's another one for Sweet Baby Inc. in the fucking back, bro. Now, big shout out has to go here to Rev Says Desu. He was the one that went deep diving into all of the developers that are behind this game, and that's how he found the founder and the current CEO for Sweet Baby Inc. Because apparently Sweet Baby Inc. has learned. They no longer make their games that they work on
hiding themselves.
public. They do it privately now, and even the gaming companies no longer list Sweet Baby Inc. in the credits. They list the individual people from Sweet Baby Inc. But of course, some YouTubers are really into this stuff, and they make sure to do all the research. But anyway, so sweet, massive shout out there to Brave Says Desu.
So the scores, by the way, Metacritic 63 and OpenCritic 67. IGN, okay? The IGN website gave this game 5 out of 10.
You know your shit when IGN gives you 5, you know? Dustborn got 7. So clearly when IGN goes 5, you know we fucked up. We made some big mistakes here. I think their dreams of making, just the whole point for this company, Reflector Media, was to be a transmedia organization. And when I say transmedia, I'm not talking about trans people. I'm talking about transmedia. Transmedia refers to games, movies, series, radio, when radio was a thing. It's everything.
It's basically something that goes across multiple types.
Multiple.
Media, so it's transmedia.
Multiple media types,
So
they were hoping that Unknown 9 Awakening was going to be their universe that they could start making movies in and series and all the rest of it.
Their MCU.
But that failed. Oops. Anyways, on to other news. It's not good news, but it is other news. Bandai Namco.
Who, by the way, are the publishers of Unknown 9 Awakening?
Boy. What happened there, Rurikon?
Apparently Bandai Namco is laying people off, except in Japan, you don't just fire people because, you know, usually Japan has a different industry and people that they work for a company, they work on that company for their whole lives. And just firing people is something that is very frowned upon. So what they do is they put people on these rooms that they call Odashibeya, which basically is they put you in a room where there's nothing to do and they wait until you quit.
Wow. Shit. That's rough.
That wouldn't work. That wouldn't work in the West because people like sit here
and get
do
paid.
Fuck all, stare at my phone and get paid.
This. Yeah.
Sounds good. It's the best gig.
Yeah, people would celebrate that.
Yeah, so Yeah, so apparently they canceled a bunch of games that they said this is because due to lackluster demand. I think one of the biggest reasons why this has happened is because I think that Bandai was pumping a lot of resources into Blue Protocol, which got canceled. And with that, they're now suffering, which is weird because to me, there seems to be quite a bit of mismanagement here because you're talking about the company that published Elden Ring, which sold fuckloads.
Still selling.
They also published, still selling. They also published Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, which is massively successful because it is the follow-up of the Tenkaichi series, which people absolutely love the Dragon Ball Tenkaichi series. I love it too. I haven't played Sparking Zero yet because I haven't had time, but like it looks phenomenal from everything that I've seen. And they've also released Tekken 8, which I believe was fairly successful. And they're still laying people off, which is weird to me. It's like you have all of these games that you've made that are brutally successful, but at the same time still having to lay people off.
What's funny to me is that they're claiming it's because of a lack of interest. And yet, and we're sort of mixing up topics here. Space Marine 2 sold over 45 million fucking copies.
No!
Yeah.
45 million, dude? No, 4.5
Dude, you wrote
million.
45.
I didn't wrote 45. That's a link to an article.
They wrote 45 then. No, but it couldn't be 4.5. There's no shot that it would only be 4.5 unless it's in the first 3 days.
In a month.
No, it would be more than that. Hold up.
4.5.
Let me just quickly check here.
No, it's not, dude. It's
I want to see. Hold up.
40. Dude. Elden Ring hasn't sold 45 million copies.
Witcher
what do you
3
mean?
is sitting at over 50 million.
Witcher 3 came out like more than 10 years
Cyberpunk is
ago.
sitting at over 30 million. So,
no,
yeah,
it's
sitting
not.
at a massive amount now. Space Marine 2. I want to see Steam charts because this should give us
lifetime sales.
This should give us. Oh, you have what's it? What's
October,
the fucking Palworld?
25. Okay,
Palworld had something like over 20 million that was sold in the first month.
It's like, do you think that for a game like Warhammer to sell 4.5 million copies in a month, you think that's not a lot?
No, I think it's a lot, but I expected it to be more.
There you go.
And I did misread it because I just quickly looked at it and I was like, 45, okay, 45 million sounds fine because the game has massive hype.
4.5. No. 45 would be a colossal success.
Well, 4.5 is still a massive success. But
it is.
Just very quickly, on this note, I don't know if I trust the sales figures. Because all time is 186,000, right? That's all time peak. But to this day, in the 24-hour peak, they still have 40,000 people that played it, right? Just in the last 24 hours.
Yeah, because they recently released a new patch.
Yeah, but it doesn't, because if I'm looking, so I'm looking at their the last few days that it's been going.
Yeah,
and
listen, it's a good game. It's a phenomenal game. I love playing the game. I haven't played it in a while, but I love playing it. I love the multiplayer.
I still have to play it.
I loved everything about it. The game is absolutely phenomenal.
I still have to play it.
But yeah, it sold 4.5 million copies, and that is really, really, really good because this is a AA game. There weren't that much expectations because, like, the thing is, Warhammer is very popular. The problem is that Games Workshop has sold a license to a bunch of video games, and there's a bunch of trash out there that uses the Warhammer license. So it was good to see one that is actually really, really good and is actually being successful.
Yeah. So my apologies, guys. I did, because I very quickly glanced at the links and I was like, oh, 45. Okay, that sounds fine. Partly because of how, look.
45 would be much more impressive.
Obviously, but if games like Palworld can sell over 20 million in the first month, and you have games like Cyberpunk that's selling like fucking hotcakes, Warhammer universe is so much larger than any of these other universes. So 45 did not seem crazy to me, right? It didn't seem like it was outside the bounds of normal. It could happen.
It would seem crazy to me, I'll tell you right now. For that game,
not
yes, it
for
would seem
Warhammer.
crazy to me to sell 45.
Not for Warhammer. Considering the fact that Warhammer YouTubers will consistently, you take someone like Luton, he will consistently have videos, lore videos, right? That's like 4 million views.
That's lore. These are very different
but remember, I can judge the size of an audience based on the amount of views that the YouTubers get on those from that audience. So this is a massive universe.
But not everybody in the audience is going to play.
It doesn't really matter,
games.
right? Because this was literally just before we went live that I quickly glanced at all the links just to add it to the notes.
Yeah.
4.5 is still massive, right? So when Bandai Namco says we're laying off people because of a lack of interest in video games, the question is, well, what do you mean? There's clearly interest in video games. Pal World, over 20 million.
There is definitely massive interest in video games. I just think that a lot of companies, they're more interested in doing things that the gaming audience might not necessarily be interested in. Like they wanted to have their MMORPG. They wanted to have live services, which is another thing that is going to be coming up a little bit later in the video, which is there's been a huge like fire sale on live, not fire sale. There's been a huge land grab on live service games. Everybody wants to have their live service games. And I kind of feel like with Bandai Namco, they were like, man, Blue Protocol, that's our one game. We're going to make that thing. It's going to be awesome. We are going to monetize the crap out of it. It's going to be really fun times for us. And then they launched their betas and people were like, actually, we don't like this. This is not looking too good. And, then they were like, well, I guess we're kind of screwed and we put a bunch of money into this. Rip.
I personally, if we're talking about live services now, I think live service as a genre is probably coming to an end. And I'm not saying that there will never again be live service games, but by its very nature, you can't have too many live service games because live service games are games that require a lot of time to play.
That's the part that a lot of these companies just don't understand. They're like, oh, I'm going to launch my live service and it's going to be a cash cow that's going to be amazing. And they don't understand that, like, you need to look at the market and you have World of Warcraft that's been around for 20 years. You think you're going to just get a World of Warcraft player in your live service? That's not how this fucking works. Not to mention that even after you launch your live service, you have to constantly be thinking about new player acquisition, which is something that a lot of these people don't do. Like Destiny absolutely fails miserably at new player acquisition. That is one of the things that not even the staunchest defenders of Destiny can argue for because they know it too. And that's probably one of their biggest complaints. They can't get their friends to play the game because nobody wants to play that game if you're a brand new player. Nobody wants to play it as a brand new player. You are crazy. And that's the thing. You need to find out ways to get players into these games, but not just that. You need to be aware of the fact that you need to conquer an audience. You don't just launch a live service game and it's like, yep, success. Yeah. Here we go. Like Concord. Concord was supposed to be a live service game. There's like again, you're talking about how these people wanted to have like their MCU moment or whatever with Awakening 9. That's what Concord people wanted. They're like, oh, this is our Star Wars franchise. We're going to make movies about this and we're going to make sequels and offshoots and all these things. This is going to be perfect. And then they put all their eggs in this one basket and it comes out like a wet fart. It's like, what do you do now? Why would you can't just do that. You have to put out a game, see how people feel about it, and then you can build a whole franchise around it. Live service games don't just come into existence out of nowhere. How many years did it take to League of Legends for them to go transmedia with Arcane and all these other games that they're working on and all of this stuff? Like, it took literal decades. It doesn't just come out of nowhere. You have to come out with a product that people want to play, and then you can kind of like foster it and grow it to a certain extent. Yeah, that's true.
I think the thing is, even then, even if you do foster it correctly, you are making a game set in a niche, because not all gamers like live service games. I, for one, really dislike live service games. The only live service game I play is World of Warcraft. And every once in a while I'll do ARAMs and League of Legends. But outside of that, I don't really play. I prefer single player games. I prefer games that are single player. You, like Monster Hunter, and that's the game that you play. And unless they fuck up Monster Hunter royally, that'll be your game. Regardless of other live service games that might be coming out, that's your game.
But that's the thing. Monster Hunter's not a live service.
But it is a multiplayer, constantly online game, right?
It almost is. No,
you can play online, can you not?
You can play it. You can play it completely offline if you want to. You can also play it online.
But that's the point, right? There is the online component to it that does push it sort of. Let's call it live service light, or maybe there is an element to it because the game does keep getting updated with.
Because they do update it for like a year. They support it for like a year, and then there's a big expansion. They give that one another year, and then they move on to the next one.
Let's call Monster Hunter live service done right, the way that you should do live service, which is support the game, make sure that the game is playable for a really long time, so people feel like they got their money's worth, and then they move on. Most live service don't work that way, but even if you do this, you're still talking about a niche audience. It's not the whole gaming audience. 100%. So if there is, let's say there's 10 million gamers that want to play live service games. You have 10 live service games. One of them have 5 million players. This means the other 9 are fighting for the remaining 5 million players. If you're the 11th live service game that's coming out, well, guess what? You've just you're fucked because there is no more gamers left. It's a stupid thing for every company to try going balls deep on the live service model because you don't have an unlimited amount of players to play all of these games. And live service games, by their very nature, take a long time to play. The whole point is that you should be playing this game the whole time. That's why they design it that way, so that it can always have something new to do. That's why most of them are looter shooters, because there's always better loot to get. There's always better things that you can get in the game. Speaking about games that are, and we're going to try and get through these topics as quickly as possible because, we're already over 2 hours here. But speaking of a game that keeps going, also live service, and is now at a staggering $700 million in development cost, Star Citizen.
Bro.
It's coming out, right?
This game, I've been saying it for ages. This game is a scam, and everybody comes at me with their bullshit. It's like, you don't understand. This is more than a game. It's like, see, that's where the problem is. Why the fuck does it need to be more than a game? It's a game. The initial budget for this game was like, was it $300,000 or something like that? It was something super low. And then they were able to get like $1 million. And then dude went like, oh man, we're able to get $1 million on Kickstarter?
Let's keep going.
Bro, what if we made our own Kickstarter? And then they started selling people PNGs. They're the original salespeople of NFTs. They're like, listen, guys, we're going to sell you this ship that we haven't even made yet for over $1,000. And people fucking bought it. They bought those ships. And then there's people telling me, why are you complaining about Star Citizen being pay to win? Of course it's not pay to win. Yeah, I'm sure that the person that has a $10,000 ship, I'm sure that ship is going to be real balanced for whatever clunker I get if I happen to just buy the most basic version of the game. I'm sure the $10,000 ship has no advantages over my little rinky-dinky piece of trash. Yes, of course not. It's like, listen, whenever we're talking about Star Citizen, the one thing that I will say is that if I was like somebody who was in the monetization department of Star Citizen, I would be doing my best for this game never to release.
If this game releases,
why would you release?
Right?
Look at how much money we're making. Why would you release? Of course you don't release. Listen, like you can see the numbers here all the way from 2012, and the numbers just keep going up. It's like stonks go up. It's like, why would you release?
I'm going to do the following, and I'm going to say that I used to be in your camp. I believed Star Citizen was an absolute scam. I'm going to take an opposite approach.
It is.
I don't think it is a scam.
Okay.
I don't think Star Citizen is ever releasing, by the way, and it is going to fail eventually, but not because it's a scam. Because when you look at their financials, they are actively spending about $100 million per year in development of this game. You see, but here's the problem. There's an age-old saying that goes, perfect is the enemy of good. You see, I think that this lead developer, the guy that started this whole thing, has reached the point where he wants to make the final game. The game that will no other game.
He's making Oasis.
No other game will ever need to exist because this game now exists. And the problem with that is, if that is your mindset, for example, I have a friend who's an author who's published a number of books and have done very, very well. And I've asked my friend before, how do you know when you're done? And he said, you're never done. You just accept where you are. Like, none of the books that he's ever released, he has felt, this is the perfect one. This is the version. I'm done. He just accepts that the book is readable now. And then he ships it. Because he said, once you get into your mind of I have to make sure it's perfect, he said, you'll sit with a chapter, you'll make a bunch of changes and a bunch of rewrites, then you'll send it to the editor. Then you'll read the chapter again and you, no, I have to change this. And then you change it. Eventually, that chapter no longer even looks like the original chapter that you wrote because you had all of these other ideas that popped out at you. So you get to a point where you go, this is readable, the story makes sense, ship it, I'm done. And then you deal with the anxiety of knowing you could have made millions of changes to the story, but you have to do this because perfect is the enemy of good. And I think that's where Star Citizen is. This game is never going to launch because the studio is hell-bent on making the perfect game rather than just making a good game. Because they are spending the money. You can see it. They're actually now in a bit of a financial strait. So I assume there's going to be another big ship sale coming up because finances are starting to look a little bit bad now because they're spending... Guys, I want to put this into perspective. Ubisoft released the first ever quadruple A game for $250 million, right? And that was considered by most people excessive. And for a $250 million game to be successful, you need baseline sales within the first year to at least exceed 30 to 40 million. Because you're talking about ongoing costs. Remember, studios don't just stop costing money. So you have to deal with the costs of just continuing to operate. This game is at 700 million. How many millions of copies will they have to sell of this game in order to just break fucking even?
I mean, they're at 700 million because they've already sold people ships. They don't have to sell that many games. They just have to sell a bunch of ships.
Remember, we are looking at some point, your audience, because apparently they have started to lose a lot of backers. A lot of backers have accepted that this game is just never coming out. And then a lot of the backers that are still backers have stopped giving money. They're now just waiting for the game to come out. So I think this game is in a perpetual spiral of seeking perfection, and it will never actually release because the guys will never be perfect.
I think they're in a perpetual spiral of getting money from you.
That is also possible. It might be a scam, but that's my thinking at the moment. Is they because a lot of the stuff they have done is going to be groundbreaking for the next companies that come after them, because they did actually manage to do technologically a game that has 0 loading screens. None. The game loads in, you fly around, there's no loading screens anywhere within the game, and it looks phenomenal. Most games that can try to do this tend to have their graphics severely downgraded in order to match this. So they've managed to do a bunch of seamless stuff that is just absolutely crazy. And other gaming companies are going to be able to profit from that once this product immediately fails, and they can pick the carcass clean of all the technology that goes into it. But I don't think so. Hats off to all the backers. Thanks for funding the next generation of video games. But I don't see this game ever coming out. Their mindset is just nuts.
No. They're gonna keep milking people for money.
Yeah.
And it is.
And then the final topic for today is actually a little bit of good news, because it does seem like some people are starting to wake up to the problems of the gaming industry. The PlayStation boss have warned, X-boss, has warned that creativity within the industry is drying up. And also about AA games, and that there are almost no AA studios left. What's your immediate thought about the creativity? I know you went through the article yourself, so what's your takeaway from it?
My takeaway from this is that he is right in some things. I don't think he's right about AA dying. As a matter of fact, I think that AA is going to be the way moving forward. They even talk about some examples here in the article with Remnant 2, which was my game of the year last year. And even just recently, we had a brand new DLC for it, which was absolutely phenomenal. They keep adding content into that game. And right now, that game, I would heavily recommend anybody that hasn't played it yet. It is awesome. We also have Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2, which is a AA game as well. And there's more AA games coming. And I think that AA is actually in a really good spot right now, because AAA are the ones that are failing. Now, he also mentions that, we keep improving on console hardware, but even not just console hardware, even PC hardware. The stuff that we're focusing on in terms of visuals and stuff, it's fucking stupid. It really is. Like, I get some people every now and then tell me about how they like RTX, and it's like, look, RTX is a waste of resources. Yeah. That's all it is. And it's one of the reasons why people are super heavy right now. It's like, oh, we got to do upscaling. It's like, we got to do upscaling because you guys are doing this RTX bullshit that nobody cares about. If you cut down on RTX, we don't have to do upscaling anymore. We don't need to do that. We can just render shit at native resolutions and get good frame rates without using the stupid bouncing light that not a single person gives a fuck about. And that is one of the things that we're trying to innovate on. It's like, oh, we need more visuals, we need more this, need more that. And what happened with Sony, and the reason why this guy is saying that he's seeing like a problem with creativity, is that Sony decided, oh, we're going to do 12 live service games, which, as we spoke before, it's not doable. You can't just like get all of these live service games to work. They just thought that, oh, we're going to just be printing money because, a live service game makes this amount of money. Therefore, if we make this many live service games, they're going to make this amount of money times the amount of games that we'll make. And of course, that's not what's going to happen. Even says here, you're looking at sequels, you're looking at copycats, because the finance guys, and again, this is where the problem is, the finance guys who draw the line say, well, if Fortnite made this much money in this amount of time, my Fortnite knockoff can make this in that amount of time. We're seeing a collapse of creativity in studios today with studio consolidation at a high cost of production. And he is 100% correct in what he's saying. Because you can't just replicate Fortnite very much like you couldn't replicate World of Warcraft all those years ago. Because believe me, people have fucking tried, and they have. It's like, how can you still have not learned this lesson by now, that if you don't have something that is vastly different from what exists, and if you're not trying to do something that's actually innovative, and if you're just going to copy, go look at the amount of games that are in the graveyard of the game that's going to kill World of Warcraft. Go look in that graveyard. It's pretty populated right now. And that's where a lot of these games that Sony is working on is going to end up in. And
so from my personal perspective, creativity is dying exactly with what he said. It's the finance guys. It used to be that games were made by developers who want to make the games that they wanted to play. Nowadays, games are made by the financial guys, the market research guys. You see, the market research guys.
This is that video. This is that video that Steve Jobs made all those years ago. You've seen that one, I'm sure, right? Yeah, the Steve Jobs video. It's the same thing where he basically talks about how you have the product people, they make the product and they're interested in the product and all of this stuff. But then those people get pushed aside because marketing gets control of the product, and then the marketing people are the ones coming in telling the product people what to do, and the product people leave. And that is what is happening in the gaming industry. You have all these fucking marketing people that are coming in and they're like, oh, but if we do it like this, it'll make so much more money. And then people are like, okay, well, I don't want to play this game anymore because you've turned it into something that is no longer a fun video game. It is a fucking chore. And you can't transform games into chores because people don't want to do chores. But I think there's
something even more to this. And that is not even the fact that the marketing or the suit guys come in and they tell you, oh, you have to add more opportunities, more hooks for microtransactions because the game needs to be able to make more money. It's that the market research guys will tell the developers, by the way, we need a Fortnite knockoff because Fortnite is currently killing it.
Yeah.
Make a Fortnite game. The best example I have of this is Anthem. EA realizes that, oh shit, Ubisoft has The Division. This is a live service game. Live service games are doing great. I know. We have studios. Let's tell our studios to make live service games. Hey, BioWare, the company that specializes in single-player RPG story-driven games, you make us a live service video game. And it's like, well, what in their tool set, in the history of what BioWare has made, convinced you that they will be a good fit for your live service fucking video game? It's not what they do.
Interestingly enough, from a gameplay standpoint, Anthem is amazing.
Nothing wrong with Anthem from a gameplay perspective. If Anthem had a phenomenal story, if Anthem had a phenomenal gameplay loop, it would have worked, right?
Story is terrible. Story is not good. And the gameplay loop is actually all right, but they fucked that up. Anyway,
it's old news at this point. But fundamentally, that's the problem, right? It is the market research people telling the developers what to make because those are the things that, according to their research, is going to make the most amount of money. Again, how do we know that this is a fact? Blizzard decides about 2 years ago, hey, you know what we need to do? We need to make a survival game because gamers are all in on the survival thing. It's like, yeah, fucking 4 years ago, like, you guys are way too late. By the time this game comes out, we would have been moved on already. But because the market research guys saw, oh, survival is all that now. Right? You guys have to start making this rather than just saying, hey, you're the developers. What do you want to make? This is actually one of the things that I have to praise Riot for. Riot, for all of their bullshit, is a company that still to this day operates under their developers come to them and they go, well, we have this really cool idea for a map in League of Legends. And they go, all right, make it. Let's see what happens there. And then other developers come, oh, we have this fucking awesome idea for a card game. And they're like, all right, let's make it. Let's see how it pans out. The only requirement they've ever had is that it takes place in Runeterra. So they want to build out the lore of Runeterra. But outside of that, their gamers are allowed to do pretty much whatever the fuck they want. And now they've even stepped out of Runeterra with Valorant, right? So clearly they're even willing to step out of Runeterra nowadays. And this is, it's Steam. Steam is this. Steam has a super, super small team, but if you go, Valve rather, Valve has a super small team, but the developers for Valve only ever make the games that they want to make. This is why when they asked Gabe Newell, when can we get Half-Life 3? He was like, well, we don't really want to make Half-Life 3. That's not what we want to make. We want to make games that push the technology forward. And it's like, but bro, you can make boatloads of cash from Half-Life 3. And he's like, oh, no. We don't want to make Half-Life 3.
It's okay.
And it's like, well, fuck it. I respect that. Yes, I want Half-Life 3. But I also respect that level of we as developers have to love what we do in order to do what we love. And that's just gone from the AAA industry. On the AA side of things, I think what a lot of people are what a lot of people are sleeping on, and a lot of these developers, these bosses and executives are going to wake up one day and realize the AA industry did not disappear. It became indie. You see, because it used to be you had indie companies that had no fucking budget, no publisher, no way of getting their games out there. So their games were like almost not known by anyone. Then you had the AA guys. They had a little bit more money. They could get some publishing every once in a while, not all of their games, but some. And then you had the AAA guys with all the budgets and all the publishers. But with Steam and with game engines and with AI and all, and I know AI is hated, but with the tools that companies have now, it is possible for indie developers to produce AA, even AAA quality video games with much smaller teams than what used to be the case. Look at Palworld, for example. If you look at the quality...
Yeah, it's a small team.
They had something like 7 people for the whole of Palworld. That was undoable 10 years ago. 10 years ago, Palworld would have been at least 40, 50 people and most likely 3-4 years to develop. But with the tools and assets developed, and I know you hate Unreal, but Unreal as a tool still provides developers with the ability to do things now that would have taken them months, if not years, to do in the past. So I think the reason the AA industry is going to quote unquote die is rather the indie industry is going to become the new AA industry. So that's my thoughts on it. Yeah,
we'll see.
Fundamentally,
we'll see how all that stuff pans out. But yeah, I think that there are problems in AAA, especially on the Western side. I think on the Eastern side, things are not nearly as bad. Like, I think that Wild's going to come out, going to be an absolute banger. And then whatever From Software is working on next is going to come out, going to be an absolute banger. So I think that there's plenty of good games coming out. It's just they're not coming out of the West right now.
Yeah, I agree with you there. But all right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's it from us. We've been here 2 hours and 20 minutes. I have to go do some shit because I'm back at 2:00 for another podcast. Rurkon, I'm sure you have a shit ton of stuff to do as well. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate all of you for hanging out with us, for spending your time with us. You'll be watching this at 6:00 on Monday. So obviously, I hope you had a lovely weekend. Let us know in the comment section down below. If you watched until now, you are an absolute trooper and we want to know about it. As always, be good to each other, be kind to each other, and we will see all of you in the next one. Peace.